The bystander effect comes from an experience years ago in New York, this famous Kitty Genovese experience, where a young woman was being stalked and stabbed, and many, many people heard her screams, and no one came to her aid. No one even called the police. And two psychologists, actually buddies of mine, John Darley and Bib Latney, in trying to understand why did no one help, they came up with the notion that perhaps the problem was there were too many people, and that in this situation, everyone assumes someone else will do it. We call it diffusion of responsibility. And so they started doing a series of experiments where they did this, have a single person versus a group, creating emergency situation. And the conclusion was, in fact, the more people physically present in an emergency situation, the less likely it is that any one of them will help. Whereas when there's a single person in an emergency, the probability they will help goes up. And why is that so? Well, what Darley and Latney, the researchers, formulated was that when you're in a group, sometimes even with strangers, and you look around and no one is helping, the social norm is do nothing, don't get involved, mind your own business. So the key then is, how do you change the social norm? The way you change it is the power of one. Namely, the moment someone goes to help, within seconds, others join in. Because when you take action, you have a ripple effect. That is, people look around and say, the new norm is help, do something. So now that you know about the bystander effect, it's not a check mark on a multiple choice test, Darley Latney, bystander effect, diffusion of responsibility, da, da, da. No, it means that whenever I'm in a situation, I now say, bystander effect is in action, what do I do? Here's what I do, here's how I get other people involved. We are giving you knowledge, not to make you smart, but to make you a social activist, to make you a social change agent.
I moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I was almost in a different school every year, but from 4th grade on, I was in the same school. And I remember there was one kid that, that people picked on, and it was weird because it was kind of like this mob mentality or this herd mentality where you didn't really know why. You know, you sort of join in. You don't know why you're picking on the person, but you just do because that's the person to pick on. And there was no reason. I mean, there was really no reason. And I feel like it's sort of an arbitrary choice that is made, maybe by one person, and then people follow in. And so a lot of times kids don't even know why they're picking on somebody, but they're just kind of following their friends. And if one, you know, if one person can step in and just sort of get to the bottom of it and say, why are you picking on that person? What's wrong with them? You know, I think a lot of times kids won't have an answer, and they'll sort of see the light. Sometimes you just need a different perspective.
I think this is a psychological phenomenon called the bystander effect. It's like where people don't assume responsibility when there's other people around. But I've realized that you have to, like, even if it's hard, you have to conflict with that phenomenon. Like, I myself, like, I find it kind of awkward. Like, if I'm just like 100 people around, I'm the only one sticking up for the guy. But that's usually very effective. Even if it was one bystander helping him out, the victim feels more confident in himself because he feels like there's someone looking out for him. So so both of them can actually retaliate against them, or at least try to stop the bullying. As in my experience before, when I've seen people getting name called, I'm usually around a group of friends. So we all like gather around the kid and try to back him up. When the bully is alone making fun of a random kid, he thinks he can do it because he's bigger than the kid. But like when my friends and I stand up for the kid, the bully can't really talk back because there's like 10 of us and there's one of him now.
There was this photo of a friend of mine that was spread around, and I think there were a few main perpetrators of the situation. And the girls that really shoved those pictures in her face and were like, sign this, look at this photo. And then there was all of the other students who snickered but didn't shove the photos in her face, but also didn't stand up and say, that's not cool, why are you doing that? Clearly this is an embarrassing situation for her. How would you feel if that was done to you? What matters is the people who are really perpetuating the bullying and leading that, they have followers. And the followers are the people that I think it's like they have just all the sheep, and then that's why you feel so bad, because it's the mass number of people that are bullying you or just standing by and snickering and not standing up for you.
You know, I think hope is greater than fear, and love is greater than anger and fear. And if you're a bystander watching someone be bullied, the only reason you're not speaking out is because you're afraid, because you don't want to get bullied. But here's the thing. If you speak out, you can turn the tide, and you can show somebody that caring, love, compassion, they're greater than fear. You can overcome your own fear. And what an amazing feeling that will be for you if you say something. Anything helps. Stop helps. What are you doing helps. It's just about injecting yourself into a situation that you know in your gut is wrong. Call it out.
Well, in the situation of a bystander helping someone, when there's a fire in a building, Superman doesn't wait for Batman to come. Superman says, hey, I gotta get to that fire. Even if the Batman symbol's in the sky and Batman's on his way, Superman has to stop it. Because if Superman says, hey, Batman got it, the building burned down, who feels guilty? Superman. Because he could have said, holy crap, I thought Batman had it. Batman could have been sitting in his cave and like this. I thought Superman had it. It's a burning fire. He can get up that high and blow the fire out. I can't. All I have is a gadget to you know what I'm saying? Do something. Don't always wait for somebody. You be the person. You be that one hero for somebody.